I'm Nathan Ponchard, this is Chasing Cars, and this is the 2021 Mercedes-Benz E350. Now, that badge hasn't been around for a while, and there's probably a reason for that, and that is because the 3.5 litre V6 it used to have is no longer relevant. This E350 is a 2 litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder with a 48 volt mild hybrid technology, so completely different to the past. This is also the facelifted Mercedes-Benz E-Class of W213 series, which came out in 2016. This one has a completely new front to before. The grille sort of changes from being wider at the top and narrow at the bottom, which made the car look a bit bigger, to kind of being the reverse of that, which I think actually makes it look a bit smaller than it probably needs to. I suppose let us know in the comments below. The rest of the kit here at the front is an AMG line kit on the Australian car, so it does have that AMG line-esque bumper bar. We also have multi-beam LED headlights as standard with 84 LED elements in them and adaptive high beam assist, which is Mercedes-Benz's version of what Matrix LED headlights are to an Audi. The E350 also has these multi-spoke 20-inch AMG line alloys as standard, and thankfully because of that it also has standard air body control, which is the airmatic suspension that has worked so good in so many Mercedes-Benzes over the years, and particularly in this one, as we shall discover. At the back end of the new E-Class we have a completely different look to before. It's very much inspired by the new S-Class without kind of eating into that car's territory, which you'd hope because that's the flagship. These new lights that used to kind of come down the side here sort of slice across into the middle and look really good with all this lighting detail, although it doesn't have sequential indicators. I think the back of the car carries the facelift quite a lot better than the front. It just suits a 4.9 metre long car better. Let us know what you think, but I think it looks sort of more elegant from the back than the front. E350 of course, and one of the best things about buying an E-Class sedan is that you get a boot that's the size of this. It's 540 litres. It has a 40-20-40 split backrest there. It has this little hook here that you can carry things on, and underneath here, because it doesn't have a spare wheel, only that goo stuff you squirt into the tyre, it has a bin here too, like you can put stuff underfloor as well, so it's pretty impressive. Sedans are good for that stuff. And an electric boot lid. Let's get inside. Inside the 2021 E350, it has very much an element of 2016, which was about these circular air vents and this general center console design that was inspired by the 2014 C-Class. Now that is going to move on in the next generation, so we're in a bit of a halfway house here. We have a brand new steering wheel in this car, which now has a capacitive rim around it, so it can feel whether your hands are on the rim at any time, whereas before you could be driving with one hand on it, it would tell you to put your hands on the wheel because it couldn't entirely feel it. The steering wheel also has these little capacitive switches here where we've got a swipe on both sides for the MBUX display in the front of me here. It also has standard Nappa leather on the rim, if I didn't already mention that, and it's really comfortable to hold. This big center boss in the middle here harks back to what Mercedes-Benz steering wheels looked like in the 50s, and that's kind of cool. But this is very much non-1950s in front. It has a very supersized feel about it. Everything other than the A-Class with the new MBUX that isn't the new S-Class has this supersized thing, which is kind of like looking at your parents' smartphone where all the text is made extra big because they can't see properly. So there's never any doubt that you're not going to be able to see what's in front of you. You can choose from 4 instrument displays in this car, but I have it on progressive, which has this sort of cool reddish tinge and numbers and kind of fits the whole mood of the car, if perhaps not the styling of the center console. In terms of fit and finish, as to be expected in a car of this expense, because it's $127,000 standard, it is really lovely. The plastic is not exactly squidgy, but it's not hard either, and it's consistent all the way through. The fit's pretty nice. This open pore wood, which is standard on this E350, has a kind of an old world look, but a modern texture to it. The leather on the seats is beautiful with this lovely stitching and ribbing down the center here. We have a bin here as per usual with wireless phone charging in the middle. Has a USB-C port here and a 12 volt outlet and a pair of cup holders. And in the center here we have this lovely flock lined bit with another 2 USB-C ports and an inbuilt armrest obviously. In terms of the controls, there are multiple ways you can do this MBUX system. We have one on the left here that's got a little home symbol and OK. You also have home there. You also have a number of actual buttons here, and you have another home here with a touchpad here. But the best way to make it work is to ask it questions like, hey Mercedes,
how can I help?
What's the outside temperature?
The outside temperature is 17.5 degrees Celsius.
Thank you, Karen. This car has two options. It has a $1,300 innovation package that adds an augmented reality aspect to the satellite navigation. Unlike in the new S-Class, which throws it in the head-up display in front of you, it does it all in the center screen here. It gives you an actual image of the road that it's filming in its own camera and puts arrows over the top of that to show you where you're going, which is quite cool, although you do have to turn your eyes to there and not there. The other thing is an interior assistant. So say at night time when you're coming home from work, if you still have to commute to the office and you have to get your bag from the front footwell and it's dark, it can see you reach in there and will actually turn the lighting on in the footwell or in the interior, or if you touch the left seat, it'll turn the map light on for that seat. Just gesture control stuff that kind of just adds a little bit of expense over the top of everything the car does. The other option it has is a $6,600 vision package, which brings this beautiful, huge dual pane sunroof above me. It also brings the head-up display in front of me, and it brings this 13-speaker, 590-watt Burmester stereo, which is superb. It's probably not the highest level of stereo you can get in some of these Mercedes-Benz cars, but you don't really need to go beyond that because it's really, really good. The rest of the car is as per Mercedes-Benz norm. It's got a great driving position. It's a modern E-Class, so the steering wheel is directly in front of me and not to the left like it used to be. There's proper door grips on the doors. I can fit this full camping bottle into this sort of weirdly movable cup holder thing in the door. You can actually take it out and put that elsewhere if you wanted to. And we have ambient lighting in this car, which in this case is purple, although there are 64 colours to choose from. I didn't choose the purple, but it does look quite nice. Let's get in the back. Besides bragging rights at the local polo club or maybe at the rugby club, the main reason for buying an E-Class over a C-Class is right here. It's backseat comfort. The backseat in a C-Class is flawed and not good. The backseat in an E-Class is comparatively excellent, and that is justification in spending all that extra money. Sitting here, I have really good under thigh support. I have an amazing view, and I love having another screen above myself here. This seat in front of me is as low as it'll go, so my toes are pretty much tucked under, like ab workout style, but I've got heaps of leg room. Under the sunroof at my 5'10"-ish height, I've got a bit of headroom. The sunroof is standard though, so if you were carrying 6'5" people in the car, maybe buy an SUV. The center seat is also comfortable in this car, so I suppose the E-Class is kind of showing its German taxi origins in a way by actually being able to seat 3 people, although the center tunnel here is quite huge with lovely carpet over the top of it. We have these 2 elasticized map pockets here. We have a pair of air vents here, but no temperature control. A little flip down tray here with 2 USB-C slots and a 12-volt outlet there. In the door, we can fit my #1 drink pretty comfortably. We have very comfortable door grab armrests here and 4 of these in the roof as well. And this center armrest here has a little bin in here which has more comfort in the middle of it, and it has 2 pop-out cup holders which we've individually done, and that's kind of cool too. Just think the general quality in here is no different to the front. It feels holistic, and this is what justifies this car.
Tested predominantly in urban conditions as well as on twisty country roads and highways, the Mercedes-Benz E350 averaged 10.8 litres per 100 kilometres. The official government combined fuel consumption figure is 7.7 litres per 100 kilometres. Recommended service intervals are every 12 months or 25,000 kilometres, with prepaid servicing totalling $2,450 for 3 years or $4,800 for 5 years. Mercedes-Benz's warranty for the E350 is 5 years or unlimited kilometres, with 5 years roadside assistance. There's also a 12-year corrosion and perforation warranty.
From the moment that you drive the E350, the most obvious difference between what you think its badge should do and what it actually does is the performance and the sound of its engine. Now, this 2-litre turbo petrol is not the sweetest little 4-cylinder in the world. It has moments where it sounds a little bit gravelly and a little bit like a diesel, dare I say it, although a very refined one. But it has this amazing kick off the line. Like, now, whew, it has 220 kilowatts and 400 newton meters from 3,000 to 4,000 RPM. So there's a lot of grunt here, and 5.9 seconds 0 to 100 is its claim, which is also quick, way quicker than what the old E350 V6 could have ever done. It also has EQ boost because it has 48 volt built-in electric motor, so it gives it this little 10 kilowatt, 150 newton meter punch, plus it's got a 9-speed automatic. So there really isn't any question about the E350 not being strong enough. It does have a synthesized induction sound when you put it in sport mode, which is a little bit meh, but it's not as bad as you think, and you don't have to put up with it either. You can also use the drive mode, which is down in the center here, and configure it in individual, where you can have the engine in comfort and everything else in sport, and then you don't have to listen to it. In terms of the dynamics of the car, because it has Airmatic, or whatever they call it now, air body control as standard, which is adaptive air suspension, it has a beautiful ride. Even 20-inch wheels make absolutely no difference to the fact that this car is on such huge hoops. And you know what, at the back it's got two 7.5/30 20-inch tyres, Goodyear Eagles, which has so much traction that this rear-wheel drive E350, regardless of all of that plethora of torque that it has superb punch out of corners. And then there's the steering and the dynamics of the car. Like, you know, older E-Classes could be thrown about a bit, but their steering was never quite their strong suit, whereas in this case, the steering in this car is really good. It must have that progressive steer that Mercedes-Benz offers, where it sort of is reactive at straight ahead, but very quickly after that, it decides that it wants to turn in really quite quickly and gives you this really quick turn in, which is terrific. And when you're in sport mode, which you can configure in individual, as I said, while having the engine in comfort, it just hooks the back end in. But we're in comfort right now, and it still does the same thing. Maybe not quite so animated in the way that it turns, but it's an effortless, wafty, refined, lovely car. The other thing that really stands out about this E-Class, despite the fact that it's 5 years old, is the level of sophistication and the way that its safety systems work. Like the way that it will sense something, sometimes it seems a little bit perhaps premature in warning you about things, but today I was driving along in a 3-lane road and there was road furniture in the middle and poles, and I wasn't going to run into them, but the Benz sort of just beeped a little bit and just very casually moved the steering slightly away from it, rather than this sort of snatch and grab action that a lot of Korean cars do. In this car, it is smooth and effortless. It also has two quite unique little safety systems, not necessarily unique completely, but certainly are standard in this car, and they're good. They are lane change assist, where you indicate and the car will help you change lanes. It also has evasive steering assist, so if you're trying to maneuver an object or trying to swerve around it and don't give it enough steering lock, the E350 will add more lock, and I presume smoothly, to be able to help you avoid that. As for the ride quality of the car, it is just superb. You can kind of go over speed humps with these 20-inch wheels in comfort and waft along with this lovely self-leveling smoothness that has become a trademark of any air-suspended Benz in modern times. The rest of the car's refinement too is also still completely up to where it needs to be in 2021, even though the car is 5 years old. So it's quiet, there's not that much tyre noise, it feels expensive, and for the most part, it sounds expensive. There's a lot to be said for still buying a sedan in 2021 and not an SUV, as I think the new E350 proves. It's not only way more efficient than it used to be in the past, it's also a lot more economical and much more refined than its distant V6 predecessor. And yet, this car here also proves that having a 5-seat sedan with a really big boot, great dynamics, like really good handling, and a beautiful ride on that Airmatic suspension, plus standard 20-inch wheels and all the stuff this car offers. It only has $8,000 worth of options, yet it looks like it's probably about $20,000 compared to what you used to have to add to a Mercedes-Benz in the past. And so I think even at $135,000, there is value in this car. It is a true luxury sedan that's also fun and also efficient. And there's a lot to be said about that. If you haven't subscribed, please do so below the video, hit the notification bell and leave a comment on the 2021 Mercedes-Benz E-Class or on Chasing Cars. Thanks for watching.